What if the reason so many couples feel financially trapped today is because modern life quietly convinced them that two incomes automatically means security? Because for a lot of people, it doesn't feel secure at all. It feels exhausting. Two salaries, two exhausted people, one expensive lifestyle nobody can slow down long enough to question. And maybe that's the strange part. Most couples today earn more money than previous generations ever imagined, yet somehow feel more financially anxious than ever. Because the modern two-income lifestyle didn't just increase income, it increased dependence, quietly, without most people noticing it. And over time, that dependence slowly becomes emotional pressure. The bigger apartment, the newer car, the expensive neighborhood, the private schools, the lifestyle upgrades, the subscriptions, the vacations, the image of making it. At first, it feels exciting, like progress, like adulthood finally happening, two people building a better life together. But slowly, something changes. The lifestyle expands faster than emotional stability does, and that's when the pressure begins. Because once two incomes become necessary to survive your lifestyle, freedom quietly disappears. One person can no longer slow down. One person can no longer rest. One person can no longer leave a toxic job safely. Everything becomes financially interconnected. And honestly, that's why so many couples secretly feel trapped, even while appearing successful online. They don't own the lifestyle anymore. The lifestyle owns them.
But the strange part is, nobody talks about the emotional side of this. People talk about inflation, housing prices, the economy, but very few people talk about the psychological pressure created when an entire household depends on constant performance from two exhausted human beings. Because modern adulthood now feels like a non-stop financial treadmill. Wake up, commute, work, stress, reply to emails, pay bills, sleep exhausted, repeat. And somewhere inside that cycle, people quietly lose the emotional feeling of safety. That's the part nobody prepares you for. Not physical survival, psychological survival. The constant background anxiety, the fear of losing income, the fear of burnout, the fear of layoffs, the fear of slowing down, the fear of falling behind. Because when your lifestyle requires two incomes permanently, there's very little room left for emotional breathing. And over time, that pressure changes relationships too. Conversations become financial calculations. Rest starts feeling guilty. Time together becomes shorter. Stress becomes normal. Exhaustion becomes personality. And slowly, people stop asking, is this lifestyle actually making us happy? Because they become too busy maintaining it. What most people never realize is, many modern couples are not poor because they lack money. They feel poor because their lifestyle consumes every increase in income immediately. That's the real trap. The second income often doesn't create freedom, it creates permission to upgrade pressure.
A more expensive home suddenly feels reasonable. Luxury feels justified because we both work hard. And socially, it even looks responsible, successful, stable. But underneath that appearance, many people are emotionally exhausted trying to maintain a life that became too expensive to pause. That's why two-income households sometimes feel more financially fragile than one-income households once did, because older generations often built lifestyles around one income first, then used additional income for flexibility. Modern culture does the opposite. Now people build lifestyles assuming maximum earning capacity permanently, which means the moment one income disappears, the entire emotional structure shakes. And honestly, that creates a very specific kind of anxiety modern adults rarely talk about. The anxiety of knowing your life only works if both people keep performing constantly, No burnout, no career breaks, no slowing down, no emotional collapse, no major mistakes, just endless productivity. And maybe that's why so many people now fantasize about simpler lives privately. Not because they're lazy, not because they hate ambition, but because deep down, human beings crave emotional spaciousness, the ability to breathe, to rest, to exist without constant financial pressure sitting invisibly in the background of every decision. But modern culture rarely rewards that kind of life anymore. Now success is measured visually. Dual incomes, luxury apartments, travel content, busy schedules, aesthetic lifestyles. Everyone looks successful, everyone looks productive, everyone looks emotionally fulfilled.
But the strange part is, a lot of people secretly feel one emergency away from collapse. And maybe that's the hidden emotional reality of the two-income trap. It's not really about money, it's about dependency. It's about building a lifestyle so financially demanding that peace quietly becomes impossible to maintain. Because over time, the nervous system starts adapting to permanent pressure. You stop noticing how exhausted you are. You stop noticing how financially trapped you feel. You stop noticing how little emotional margin exists in your life anymore. Until one day, you realize your entire adulthood became optimized around maintaining expenses instead of protecting peace. And maybe that's the uncomfortable truth modern society avoids talking about. More income does not automatically create freedom. Sometimes it simply creates a more expensive version of survival. And honestly, modern culture quietly trains people to confuse expensive lifestyles with emotional success. People assume bigger means happier, busier means important, more expensive means successful. But many people are privately overwhelmed trying to sustain lives that look impressive publicly. That's why emotional exhaustion is becoming normal. Not because people are weak, because modern lifestyles became psychologically heavy. And over time, constant performance changes people emotionally. You become less present, less rested, less emotionally available. Life slowly becomes logistics, bills, schedules, meetings, deadlines, financial calculations, and eventually, people stop living emotionally. They start surviving operationally. And maybe that's the deeper question modern adults need to ask themselves. What is the point of building a successful life if the lifestyle itself quietly destroys your peace? Because maybe real wealth was never supposed to mean constant exhaustion. Maybe real wealth is emotional sustainability. The ability to survive difficult seasons without panic. The ability to rest without guilt. The ability to lose one stream of income without your entire life collapsing emotionally. But modern society rarely teaches people to build that kind of stability. Instead, people are taught to maximize lifestyle first, to look successful, to upgrade constantly, to consume constantly, to perform adulthood publicly. And slowly, people build lives that require non-stop pressure to maintain. That's why so many adults secretly dream about simpler lives now, not because they failed, but because deep down, their nervous system is begging for relief. And maybe the real flex today is not earning the most money possible. Maybe it's building a life that still feels emotionally safe when life becomes unpredictable. Because eventually, layoffs happen. Burnout happens, health problems happen, unexpected life changes happen. And when those moments arrive, the people with emotional margin suffer differently from the people living on the edge of constant financial pressure. And maybe that's the final realization hidden inside the two-income trap. The goal of life is not just increasing income endlessly, it's protecting peace while building stability. Because at the end of the day, the quality of a person's future is not determined by how expensive their lifestyle looked online. It's determined by whether their life still feels emotionally livable privately.